Hey Fisherman, Aqua Duelist here, and I'm giving you guys an update to my Shark Kragen control deck. This deck is honestly probably one of the best water rogue decks out right now. I think this and Marincess are probably the two best ones. But just had so much competitive success with this deck, and I love it. Ever since Eternity Code, when we got like Buzzsaw and Lantern, and the Shark support just kind of kept coming since then. This deck has done so well to adapt, and it's honestly amazing how well it's really been able to adapt and just be relevant in the rogue scene. So I'm just super happy about that. This deck's really freaking awesome. So we're going to be going pretty in depth with this for all you new players who want to learn how to play Sharks. If you're not new, then hopefully this is just a good refresher. So starting off for the monsters, play 3 copies of Buzzsaw. Buzzsaw is honestly the best starter card in the deck. 1 card rank 4. So he has an effect where basically you target a water monster you control, like a fish monster, and you summon a fish from the deck equal to its level. So you basically normal summon him, target himself, and you basically want to summon like Silent Angler. Usually if you have White Mirror, you can do some combo there. Or you could go for Righty Shark, which is really freaking good. Next up, 3 copies of Lifeless Leaf Fish. Second best starter card in the deck, I feel. So basically, he Foolish Burials a fish, and he has an effect where you can banish him from the grave, shuffle 3 fish back in, draw 1. So he's got some really nice recyclability, which is pretty good. Next up, 3 copies of Abyss Shark. This is honestly like the best shark card to ever freaking come out. It is so freaking good. So, if you control water, you reveal him, special summon him, and then you can add a level 4 fish from your deck. And then what you're basically going to... The thing is with him, he can be used as a level 3 or 4 for the XC summon of a number monster. He does lock you into water, so, like, I feel like that kind of, like, in a sense, limits what you can use to summon him, but, it's, like... We're getting more things that we can XC summon, with him. So it's all pretty cool. Still, like I said, the best, just support card shark, or just the best shark that Sharks have ever really gotten. Next up, 3 copies of Silent Angler. Really good. Some people I noticed are opting for 2, but you still want to play 3 because you basically want to try to keep 1 in the deck. 3 makes that a lot easier, because you do have you do have White Mirror and such, so, like, you just, I don't know, like, you just kind of want to keep 1 in the deck in order to go for some for the White Mirror combo and such. Next up, 2 copies of Lantern Shark. People are playing this at 1 now. I noticed a lot of people are, but I think 2 is personally just the correct ratio on this. 1, I just never see it enough. So what he does is you can special summon a level 3, 4, or 5 water monster from your hand in defense position. You cannot special summon from the extra deck for us turn except XC's monsters, which doesn't matter because that's basically what we're going to be doing. He doesn't negate the effect, which is nice, unlike Lantern Shark, which, Lantern Shark does, but, that usually doesn't really matter all that much, so, yeah. Now, going on to the other cards. Okay, Hestia, thank you. Hestia has decided she wanted to be in the video. The other shark cards that we play 2 copies of Dream Shark. People play this at 1 if they play it, and a lot of people just are also opting not to play it. I think 2 personally is also just the correct ratio on this. This basically replaces the Water Tangy, which I always hated the water tangy. At one point, we really did have to play it, but now we don't have to. This just replaces the water tangy and does its job so freaking much better. It is level 5, which people can argue, oh, like that makes it worse. But the thing that's nice is the fact that this just, whether you have no water monsters or you do, this just special summons itself. So now your extenders are alive, which is basically amazing. And the fact that it's level 5 is kind of really cool because now this opens you up for a new line of play for the extra deck, which is honestly really freaking good. And I feel like this overall is just so much better and contributes more than the water tangy. This also has an effect in Grave where basically, like, if you would take some, like, burn damage and stuff, it special summons itself, loses 1,000 defense. So, like, that's pretty cool. Next up, 2 copies of Silent Sea Nettles. Still kind of like, I don't know, I love this card, but I also sometimes don't. So with Silent Sea Nettles, if you control a water monster, you can special summon it. What I like about this is all your monsters don't have to be water, unlike Abyss Shark. So if you do the combo for Buzzsaw and White Mirror, and you make, Utopic Draco with the 2 toads, you can still special summon this, which is nice. You just have to at least control a water monster. You are locked into water for the rest of the turn. It does have an effect where you can shuffle, banish this and shuffle 3 waters from your grave back into your deck. So you're going to use this more to recycle your extra deck monsters. I wish you got the draw on it, but you don't. So that's like, eh. So yeah, this is mostly just for the extra deck recycle as well. We play 1 copy of Crystal Shark. Crystal Shark can special summon itself from the hand or grave by targeting a water monster you control, halving the attack. It can be used for a level for an XC summon of a rank 3, 4, or 5, or 3 or 4 on top of being level 5, as long as the monster is a number monster. And then it does lock you into XCs, which is a bit better. It doesn't lock you into just straight water. The last water monster we play is Righty Shark. Righty Shark's just really freaking good. So if you have no monsters, you can basically just special summon this from the grave, and then if you use it for XC material, the monster that you use to make it cannot be destroyed by battle. So that's pretty freaking nice. So that's it for the water monsters, guys. Now, as for the non-water monsters, if I can give me a second to clean that up a little. So as for the non-water monsters, we only play 3, and that is Ash Blossom. So the only non-water monsters we play is Ash Blossom, and that's, it's Ash Blossom. That self-explanatory right there. Don't really need to say anything else. Next up, we play 3 copies of White Mirror. Moving on to the spells. White Mirror is just the best spell card in the deck, personally. I see people playing it too, and when I see it at 2, I generally just want to say, what's wrong with you, in a sense. Because this card is literally a Monster Reborn and Reinforcement of the Army. There's a 2-card combo you can do with this and Buzzsaw that gets you 3 negates, 2 Omnis, and 1 monster negate, which also is like a snatch deal because it's Draco. And, it's just when you really think about that, it's why would you play this at 2? The argument that people make is, oh, it can be bricky, but, that doesn't really matter. If I opened, 2 of these in a Buzzsaw, I don't give a shit that I opened 2 of these. I have something next turn to follow up with. This card essentially is a 1-card rank 4, which is great. That's awesome. But, it's just, I just think that logic is just, I think that logic's really stupid, and you do need to be playing this card at 3. There is no, way around that. Next up, we play 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. We use this to send Ice Barrier and another card in the deck that we'll talk about when we get to. I opt to play 2 copies of Moray of Avarice. Ever since this card came out, I saw instant success with it. This card is pretty freaking good. So you banish a water monster, or it's a face-up fish, sea serpent, aqua monster you control, and you draw 2 cards. You can only activate it once per turn. So there's some really cool little combos with it. This with like what you're gonna call it? Was it Lifeless Leaf Fish? Is really freaking good because you can summon the Leaf Fish, send the Righty Shark, banish Leaf Fish with this to draw 2, and then you can just summon that Righty back. You can summon the Righty from the grave because you don't control any monsters. So basically, your extenders are still alive, and you just drew 2 cards. This card has, over the year, it's been out. Really, just put in a lot of work. And honestly, I kind of don't want to play Pot of Desires at the moment. Because it's just like there's times where just I banish a bit too much that hurts, and yeah. So next up for the spice, 2 copies of Torpedo Takedown. Now I honestly forgot this card existed up till like 3 weeks ago, and I did some real testing, and I just gotta say the stars have like perfectly aligned for this card, because when this card came out, I think way too early, and it basically became forgotten. And now it's just like I think it's a little perfect. You got to be smart with this card. So what it is, it has 2 effects. So you can basically target a water X you control, you detach a material, and then you burn your opponent for 400 damage for each card in your hand. And then the monster you detached the material from gains that much attack. And it's got another effect where basically you banish this and a water XD in the grave to draw 2 cards. So you kind of gotta be smart with this card. And I feel like 2 is just the right ratio. Played it at 3 last locals and bumped it down to 2. I had like 3 games where this card really did come up, and it put in some work. One game I basically made Kragen off of a buzzsaw, used this, burned them for 12, and then basically ended up, Kragen popping them and won in time. They just couldn't do enough damage. So that was pretty freaking good. Then there was another time where I specifically foolished this and then used the grave effect to draw 2, which gave me enough gas to keep me going. And then there was one time I just basically used it to close out a game because I was a little short. So, like, basically I feel like every scenario where this would really come up happened at the last locals I went to. And, I'm not going to tell you this is the best card ever, but this card does a lot of just niche and unique roles. And, like, it's the only card that can really do all of those roles. So I feel like 2 is kind of the right way to go. I felt like 3 was possibly a little too much. But yeah. So, like I said, you just got to be smart with it because you don't want to just shotgun it. I did that one time, and it really just did not work out for me that game. So, yeah. Going on to the traps, play 3 copies of Gozen. People are kind of like dropping this card, or they're only playing it like 1 or something and siding it. You should be main decking this at 3, because this with Kragen is literally just game. It's the same thing as, Zombie World of Rivalry. Unless they have a way to, out your spells and traps, they just can't do anything. So there's really just no reason to not be playing this card at 3. And it kind of annoys me a bit that people are just like forgetting that, this with Kragen is game. Next up, 3 of the best trap in the game, Infinite Impermanence. I don't need to explain anything. It's Infinite Impermanence. And then 2 copies of Ice Barrier. Basically, we're going to mostly be sending this off of Foolish Burial Goods. and then banishing it from the grave to basically send a level 5 or higher water monster from deck to grave, and then we can add a monster from grave to hand. That is all one effect. And you can literally send the monster that you sent off of the effect. So basically, in a sense, it's like you're playing 6 cards or 6 copies of Abyss Shark, 4 copies of Crystal Shark, 5 copies of Dream Shark. Get you what you need. You don't have to draw, or you don't have to grab the card that you sent. There was one game where I sent Crystal Shark and I grabbed a Buzzsaw. So this way, I had a really good normal summon. Turn 2, so yeah, that was the thing. So that's it for the main deck, guys. So going on to the extra deck, we play 2 copies of Stealth Kragen, makes everything your opponent controls water, and quick effect, you get to pop a water monster they control, and then when he gets basically destroyed, he ends up summoning Kragen spawns equal to the number of material that he had, and then you attach a monster from grave to each of those Kragen spawns. Playing 2 copies of Stealth Kragen spawn. The spawn basically pops a water monster your opponent controls, and if he gets destroyed, you special summon a Kragen monster from your grave, equal number of materials this guy had. So yeah, you can basically loop the Kragen spawns continuously. You can't just keep looping Stealth Kragen in a spawn and Stealth Kragen in spawn. Because for Kragen to go off on that, he needs to be XC summoned. So the moment you revive him, you're not going to be able to use his effect to bring out one of these. Next up, we play 2 copies of Bahamut Shark. We use this to summon Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is totally awesome. It's literally the best XE to exist in the game. Next, we play 1 copy of Ulti Abyss Dweller. So beautiful. I think it's one of the most best ultis. So we do play a Nash Knight package. So we play this. We play 1 Nash Knight, which is basically a it's basically like a Zodiac Chakanine, on a sense. And then we also play the 1 full armored Crystal Zero Lancer, which is basically like our Borbo, just the water equivalents. With Nash Knight, he has an effect where basically you detach 2 materials, you put Silent Honor Arc here as under him as material, and then you end up putting a monster your opponent controls on the field under him or under the Nash Knight as material. So it's just a really good non-targeting destruction removal, which is really nice. It comes up. Full Armor Lancer, basically if it gains 500 attack for each material. If it would be destroyed, you can detach a material instead. We can basically use these to go into Zeus really freaking easily. So that's kind of why they're there, and also one of the reasons why we play Abyss Shark at 2. I'm sorry, not Abyss Shark. Dream Shark at 2. Lastly, I do play the Utopia package, which is one of the Utopia packages, which is the Utopic Future and the Utopic Draco. And I just want to say, I think that this is the worst collector rare. It just could have been so much better. But yeah, so these guys are not going to come up every game. To be honest with you, they are going to barely come up, but when they do, they just make such a impact. People kind of forget how good the Buzzsaw White Mirror combo is. When I was at Locals, I actually had a game where I did that, and then I had Imperm and Gozen, so they basically had to deal with a Floodgate, 2 Omni Negates, a Monster Negate, and then Draco here is a Monster Negate and a Snatch Steal. So when I used up the 2 Toads, I just flipped Gozen and my opponent scooped because he didn't want to deal with it. So yeah, that is the deck, guys. I hope y'all hope y'all honestly really enjoyed it. Like I said, this is honestly just one of the best water rogue decks that are out there right now. Is it better than Marincess? I feel like this and Marincess are kind of around the same skill. Like, I want to say, as far as like how good they are, they're pretty close to each other. But personally, I do like the Sharks a bit more, because with this, it's not like super linear. You do have some like small like 1-card XC, 2-card combos here and there. But it's not like the exact same thing every turn, which I do kind of like more than Marincess. So, and I'm not saying Marincess is a bad deck. Like I said, they are literally 2 of the best water rogue decks right now. So guys, I hope y'all really enjoyed this deck profile and hope y'all walked away, learning something. Go ahead and harpoon that like button, really helps the channel out. Harpoon that subscribe button, that also helps the channel out, guys. Go ahead and comment any comments y'all have, and I will see y'all in the next video.